Okay, I said we're going to take it a little easier today, and I would like to do that. So I'm going to move this out of the way and sit like we're hanging out. This really is a one-man show. And the question I asked earlier for those who are online and those who are here in the sanctuary is, what does it mean to nurture beauty? Where do we find beauty in the world? And is it something that comes to us, or is it something that we help nurture? We read this poem by Wendell Berry, and the protagonist in the poem says, "When despair for the world grows in me, I go out into nature. I go out into the quietness of the world to feel this beauty and this grace. I rest in the grace of the world, and I'm free. With the stars above and the wood drake quacking, I guess is what that wood drake is doing. The presence of still water." Can we take a moment and try and see in your mind's eye, where is your place of beauty? Is it like Wendell Berry, out in the woods, amongst the trees? Is it near water? Or is it something different? Is it a place full of humanity, thriving with people, the hustle and bustle, like a worship service on a Saturday, and a party afterwards with food and music and light and dancing? I think both are valid. And so I'm curious, for those of us who are here, where do you find beauty? Are you more like the Wendell Berry protagonist? Or do you find the hustle and the bustle of humanity a place of beauty? And maybe it's both. So this is where I put some of you on the spot. If you are feeling brave, if you would like to share, where do you find beauty in this world? If you're here in the sanctuary, if you would raise your hand, and I'll run this microphone to you. If you are online and you want to physically raise your hand or use the raise hand icon and share very briefly, please, where do you find beauty? And where do we find beauty? We've got someone here in the audience, a brave soul.
I realized as I'm sitting here that I find beauty through a sensory awareness. That when I still, and then if I do a sound meditation, I'm finding beauty just in the sounds in my backyard. Or I'm finding beauty in what I see around me. Or I'm finding beauty in music because it entrains my mind. And so there's only that one note and the next note. And then it's beautiful. And I was fortunate because I grew up with parents who took me out in the woods every Sunday, climbing over rocks and fording streams, and having that experience of being deep in nature. So nature is certainly a big part of it, but it's also my increasing ability, I say, as I get older, because I'm lucky to have more still time in my life, that I can nurture that noticing the moment. Thank you.
Tim?
I find beauty in silence and solitude.
Thank you, Tim.
I certainly share the comments that had been said already. the wonders of nature, looking deep into a single leaf as it opens, the tiny little veins and the ridges that might be along the edges. But there's also beauty, and I think we experienced it yesterday, but I was lucky enough to then go from the installation, which was beautiful in its complexity, and the many pieces that were brought together by so many people. But then I got to go to a final preview for a show and to see the workings of the cast and all of the behind-the-scenes efforts that have to be put together to create something that's ephemeral. I'm sure each night it's going to be slightly different, but there's a beauty to human efforts in community.
Linda.
Well, also, in addition to finding beauty in nature and in music and sensory things, I also find beauty in one-on-one connections, conversations with people. There's a deep beauty for me in just really feeling like I can connect with one person. And I wish I could have done that with everybody there yesterday, but that's a real deep source of beauty for me.
Thank you. Holly, if you could unmute. Go ahead, Holly.
Well, I have to echo what so many people said. And Linda, you said exactly what I was going to say. But I would also add that sometimes just a look between somebody, even if I don't know them, I feel a connection and I feel that's so beautiful. Nature is number one. Human interaction is number two for me. And I find it also, I love watching children and seeing how they discover the world. That to me is very beautiful.
I'm going to be very specific. The standing on a rock that's about 6 inches below the surface of the water, but about 4 feet high on a pond in New Hampshire, looking out at 6 in the morning at the still water and the trees in the background, and diving, after going for a run, diving into the cool waters. Just a beautiful experience for me. Running in this neighborhood in the sun is another beautiful experience. Singing with people. It's been on Zoom, but it's not the same as when we're able to do it in person. And I was thinking, met your friend Richard yesterday, and there was beauty in that interaction, the one-on-one interaction like we've been talking about. And I feel really blessed to have so many chances to be able to experience that kind of beauty.
Thanks. Well, I echo everything that everybody said. I do find beauty in that and in nature, and especially in just talking to other people. It just restores my soul, just being part of the human family. And also, sometimes I just love watching nature documentaries on TV, especially about elephants. So when I just want to be, chill.
The Gospel according to elephants.
I can think of a couple of places off the top of my head. Specifically, there's a lake that we went to in the summers growing up, and it is just stunning at sunset. Plus, I can think of all the memories that I have with my family there. My brother still lives there, so I get to go back there every year. One of the other things is looking at the beauty in other people. I can think of many people I know, people that I don't know, but so many people that I know where beauty is not just on the surface. You can just feel it glowing from them. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sandy.
I agree that there is great beauty in nature, but I also find it in the works of humans and other animals who create beauty. And I love almost every night falling asleep to the sounds of my apartment building and its vicinity, and whether it's somebody's distant radio or a car whishing by outside or my air conditioner coming on, it all seems to center around B flat. And it is very thrilling to hear this. It puts me to sleep. It makes me happy. I hear all kinds of things, you know, and somebody else here, Peter, I believe, has answered similarly to me. He hears the music and everything too. Everything is music, and it comes through when you're falling asleep. And it is so incredibly beautiful. I remember the very first thing that I ever had what I would call a mystical experience about, and I was 3 years old. I was recuperating from diphtheria, and my father carried me out into a field. We were driving outside where we lived, you know, outside the town. And I was out in the country, and there was this great concatenation of electric wiring, electric towers that looked like you know, the one in Paris. What, you know, the one I'm thinking about. Me and my names. But anyway, I went out there with him, stood under it, and I could hear it. I could hear the humming in it from the bus bars, and it was incredible. And all I could think of was thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. The stole that I'm wearing this morning was given to me by this congregation yesterday. And so if you were not at the service and didn't hear some of the explanation, I can't do it all justice, so I'm going to give you a little bit of my interpretation. And I'm going to try and show it in 2 cameras that are spotlighted here, so you can see it a little more up close. One side has our chalice, and the other side has a growing plant. And both sides have roots down at the bottom. It's in 3 dimensions. It's very, very cool. I was the envy of all the ministers yesterday. Everyone said, that is the greatest stole I've ever seen. I said, I agree. I agree. And as I've been looking at it and touching it and meditating on it, you know, kind of praying over it almost, it has dawned on me how lucky I am and how meaningful this stole is when we think about nurturing beauty. And we have these 2, I don't know if they're 2 ends of the spectrum or not, but kind of the Wendell-Berry side and then the hustle and bustle of the people side is what I've been thinking about. We have our growing plant on one side of this stole, where you go out to hear the wood drake and rest underneath the starry skies. And you have the flaming chalice that we light when we are together. Right? You can light it when you are alone, but it's our symbol of being together, of the hustle and bustle, of the rhythm of congregational life. And that both sides have these deep roots that go down and down and down. And that the building of beloved community and the building of these communal roots happens in both of those ways, right? And that they are connected, and they cover the most important parts of me, right? The star that's over my heart. I'm in love with this stole, and it is something that has come to me as beauty, but it was nurtured into that beauty by the hands of the people in this congregation. And it wouldn't have the same meaning without everyone here that makes this place what it is. Right? If I'd bought it at the store, it would still be very cool looking, but it wouldn't have all the beauty and meaning of it. And it's not that I didn't go seek it out, because I did come seek this place out. And there's kind of this relationship, the give and take of both of it, that has brought you here, that has brought me here, that has brought this stole into being. We had this wonderful moment of having children here in our chancel yesterday, and my family member who was expecting, and I got to talk about what that's like to have this new thing waiting to be born, and all of the decisions and events that went into that. That if one thing had been different, that person doesn't exist, that life doesn't exist. He was saying, because I decided to go eat at Cheesecake Factory one night, now we're having a baby. Yeah. The beauty and the mystery of all that I find so incredibly moving. And to wrap up this whirlwind of a sermon that I'm sure you're all enjoying, when I think about that Wendell Berry poem, and when I think about the beloved community experience of being outside under a big tent with people of all gender identities, orientations, races, ethnicities, socioeconomic levels, sharing a communal meal, line dancing, being together and laughing. Wow. How often do you get to experience something like that in this life? How lucky are we? And to go, and if I could have just lain down like Wendell Berry's protagonist in the middle of all that and just let the sound and the hustle and bustle and what I lovingly refer to as the trouble table, letting all that just wash over me, I feel like it would have been the same experience as our friend who goes out to find the wood drake, to feel that freedom and that belovedness. And I'm so, so grateful, so held. And the reason I ask all of us to share more about where we find beauty is because that's how we make this stole. We take our stuff and we stitch it together in the fabric of this community. And they don't all look the same, and at first glance, might not make a lot of sense. But the more that we share, and the more you get close to it and feel it, and hear other people's perspectives, that's when the art comes alive. The art of the natural world, the art of our human community, the art of the universe. I'm not a good artist, but I can appreciate good art. I can appreciate good beauty. And when I am in the presence of it, that's when I feel a sense of wholeness. I hope you have felt that. I hope you will continue to feel it. I hope we will continue to make it and create it together, making this stole of our congregational life together. Because y'all, it is, as the word outside of the sign says, truly, truly awesome. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the back of my stole, to everyone who has been a part of this congregational experience in helping to get us through the worst of the pandemic, helping to keep one another safe, to love one another into wholeness. When I say I was the envy of the ministers yesterday, I'm only slightly joking. Because a lot of ministers know the beauty and the power of this place and of you. And I'm so, so glad to be here. So may we go forth and continue to nurture beauty, to find beauty, to make beauty, to stitch this fabric on and on and on in our mutual garment of destiny. May it be so.